Hello guys and welcome back. So we can now start to try to build our hair texture set. We can also save this guy just to be safe. Okay, so hair generator maybe. Alright, and then what we can do here now is we can start to use this one to generate a bunch of different ones and apply that to the hair. So to start, I can go create a directional warp. Okay, and then I can create a purling noise and connect that to the directional warp. Okay, and then I can lower down the scale of this purling noise. That's gonna give me something that's warping that. Okay, I can turn off the warp here because I kind of like a little bit more control of that warp here on the outside. But what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna blend this one with this new one by doing a height blend. So you hit tab button and type in height blend. You connect that, and then you can double click on this guy and just drag the head offset up. So you have this layering effect. Okay, and then we can we can grab this guy, and then maybe we can add a transform. Okay, and then we can double click, grab the transform and move it over. We can also transform this guy. So basically we're composing multiple variants of this hair strand to get a cluster of hair that we can use eventually on our hair card. Okay, this one maybe I can make it thinner, so the clump width can be something smaller. And maybe not that much distortion either. Okay, I can have a Control D to copy that one and put it in here. Maybe the second one can actually be wider. Okay, you can see what I can do is now I can have a lot of flexibility to create multiple hair strands and just compose them together. So here, this one, maybe I don't want it to be having a lot of clump at all, maybe not that much distortion already. But I can do a directional warp on this guy also with a purling noise, with a lower scale, and drag that over here. And so this is like a smaller one, and then you can take a look at the final result. We have a smaller one, we have a bigger one underneath it. Okay, even for that smaller one, I can Control D to have a copy of that. And this one, maybe we distort it differently, so we can create a transformation 2D here. After the purling noise, I can then move that away to a different position. You can see I'm basically distorting it in a different way. And then I can do another blend, actually another head blend on top. So this guy, and then I can drag the head offset. Maybe that one can also be in the bottom. And I can create another transform. You don't have to follow me. I'm just basically not really having a very good direction to go. I'm just thinking. So maybe I can reverse that and put it in here. Maybe I can even change the directional warp intensity to warp it more and drag it back over here. And maybe I can make them all wider because I'm kind of like making a huge cluster, so I probably wanted to have more hair counts, and I wanted them to be bigger, so that one can also be bigger. Okay, and I can move it over here. If you have a little rotation here. Alright, so this is going to be a clump of hair. Okay. Now to eventually put it to where I need it to be, what I can do is I can create a transformation 2D node and connect that blend height to the transformation 2D. Okay, and then that can go to the normal input first, just to be able to visualize. So I can create a normal node and connect that to the normal, and normal to the normal output. Okay, and then drag the intensity up just a little bit. Okay, and with red mouse button, drag this over here and say normal. Okay, Now that's going to use that as normal map. If it's not showing up, you right click here and show output in 3D. Sometimes that helps. Okay, I guess this is a very little hair that is using that, using its area anyways. We can also define the roughness and the base color with a uniform color. Go to grayscale, connect that, and maybe a copy to connect roughness. For the roughness, I can drag it up. For the color, I can also drag it up. Okay, maybe roughness can go down a little bit. All right, and then metallic will be 0. That's fine. Hat doesn't really care. And let me drag these guys. Okay, so we have the normal map over here. It's not really showing up because most of the hairs are not using that normal map. You can see it over here. Okay, so we want to move this guy over here. That means we need to go to the transform and move it over there. You can see now it's happening on a lot of other hairs now. Okay, but again, this is not perfect yet. I need to know or have a reference to know where exactly this last segment is, because in Maya we have aligned them in a very tight way, so they're aligned nicely. Like, you know, it's either here, this row, or this row, or this column, or this column, or this column, right? So to get a reference of that, I can create a tile sampler. Okay. Oh, don't want it to be in there. Tile sampler. And then I want this tile sampler to give me 8 on the X and 1 on the Y. And then I don't want it to make it shrink, so the scale will be 1 here. Go all the way down to the color part. I'm going to change the color random to something really high. And then I can then do a edge detect. Oh, edge detect to give me basically the edge of those different rectangulars. And then I can do a invert grayscale to invert it. Okay, and that can be used to do like a blend with our hair, and that goes to the final normal. And the blend here can be a add, so that way we have those lines to tell us where we are. And then I can go to the transformation 2D and drag it over here, and maybe stretch it longer and move it up, and also down maybe a little bit. Okay, so I'm basically aligning it to that particular location. Okay, because this is my dense hair strand. You can see now they're populated around the hair now. And I also want to have opacity taken care of. So let me create a output node. And then this output node will be used as opacity. So we go to add atom here and change usage to opacity. Okay, and red mouse drag it over here and say opacity. Okay, now it's emptied here. Now we can grab this guy and just connect it to use that to control opacity. You can see now we have the opacity defined properly. And of course, if we don't want to see those harsh lines now, we can go grab this guy and drag the opacity over to not seeing the get line anymore. Okay, you can see we're basically seeing the hairs that uses that particular UV. Now, just to make this a little bit more accurate, what we can do is we can go create a histogram scan in the middle and drag the position up to make it strong enough so it's actually showing me the correct alpha. Maybe that's too much. I'll write that down. But sometimes gaming it doesn't really give you a very good follow-up anyways, so you're gonna end up with this blocky result. Now, one thing I discovered that I did actually wrong here is that my UV is actually flipped. Okay, so we can either fix it here in the texturing, or we can fix it on the texturing. We can flip the texture, or we can flip the UV. So in this case, I think flipping the texture will be easier. Okay, so here before the blend or after the blend, right? I'm gonna grab the blend and type in a transformation 2D, right? And this transformation 2D will take care of the flipping. So I'm gonna flip it vertically. Right, that should fix it. See, now we have the hair that's actually having the root right over here, and it's having the tip over there. Okay, and I think I'm having a little bit clipping. So in this transformation, maybe I can drag it up just a little bit. Okay, because I don't really want to have clipping up there. All right, now you see that little line there. I don't really see that over here, so I'm assuming that's going to be okay eventually. When we bring this into Maya or game engine, that line wouldn't be there. I think that's just designer freaking out for some reason. Let's see. So here, one more thing I can do a little bit better is the root is pretty harsh, right? You can see this particular hair strand. You can see the root. It's having this really visible edge here. So what we can do on the opacity here is that we can create a gradient linear 1 here, and we can rotate it 180, and then create a curve node. We can double click here to add a point and drag it up. Okay, and then we multiply this guy with the blend on top of our opacity. Actually, we don't need to rotate it because we have the wrong direction anyways. So yeah, that one goes down. Now in the blend we change it to multiplication. Okay, so that's gonna give us some gradient here, and we can, let me double click here and go to the curve and tweak this guy. Okay, you can see what we did is we're having a nice gradient for the root to gradually go from transparent to solid, and that way we're getting better root. All right, cool. So let's move on to the next video, where we keep populating different portions of the hair texture. So we have so for every little grade here, we'll have a hair texture. Okay, let's do that in the next video.